An ellipse is basically a circle that's seen in perspective, so you see it edge on. So when a circular object is at your eye level, it's straight, but as you bring it down below your eye level, that ellipse becomes more rounded. And so to show you again, at eye level it's flat or straight, and if you bring it above your eye level, you can see that the bottom of the object is beginning to become more apparent. So you can begin to see the ellipse. So bring that down again, and you can see that the top that's at my eye level is straight. Okay, so let's get started. Learning the technique of how to draw ellipses will make your still life drawings in particular far more realistic. I think most people have had problems getting the size of their ellipses correct when they start out drawing. So I'm going to show you a technique. It's quite technical and it's a little difficult to master at first, but once you've mastered it, it will help your drawings look more realistic. Alright, so let's just start off nice and slow. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 2 straight lines running down my page. I'm going to make them, let's make them a distance of about 5 centimeters. Doesn't really matter how wide you make it, it's just as long as it's not too narrow, and when you're starting off it's not too wide. And make sure your lines are dead straight. I'm using a 4B pencil for this, but you can use a 2B pencil. I'm using a 4B so you can see. Now I'm going to decide where my eye level is. My eye level is where, when I'm looking at something, it's directly across from me. So for example, in this picture, my eye level would be kind of about here, alright? So you see the way that this object here is more or less straight. In other words, you can't really see what's happening on the inside of it. That's because that's at my eye level. And everything else is below my eye level. So anything that goes below the eye level, you begin to see more and more of the circle, of the ellipse. Okay, so the ellipse gets deeper and deeper as the object gets lower and lower down. So let's just say I decide my eye level, I don't know, let's say about here. It doesn't really matter, but let's just start off with it about there. Okay, so we know that the curved object is going to look flat if I'm looking at it at my eye level. So for example, the top of the vase here, it looks flat to me, even though I know it's curved, but because it's at my eye level it looks flat. So that's my eye level. But what happens if I come below my eye level? So I'm just going to drop this in increments of 5 centimeters. Okay. Now, so this is going to be below my eye level, so there's going to be a little bit more of an ellipse visible. Okay, so there is no formula for telling you exactly how many centimeters to use here. You usually just eyeball it. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, find my center line between of this particular object here. So if it's 5 across, it's 2.5. So I'll fill my center line in, my central axis line. Okay. So there's my object, the line, the top of it we'll say, but I want to know what way to do my ellipse. So there's a couple of ways you can go about doing this. Let's say you're just guesstimating that this is the top, so you can afford to go a little bit over. So I'm just going to go, I don't know, what's that? It's about 0.5 centimeter. 0.5 centimeter above and below that line, okay? Now, the point here and here at the end of the line, they're important too. So you've got 4 points now. You've got the top, the bottom, the right and the left. What you want to do is you want to join these up. Now when you're drawing ellipses, they're rounded edges, okay? Some people have a tendency to do this with ellipses, to put points in them. Ellipses do not have points, okay? They have rounded edges. So they can be roundy like that, or if it's further down, they can be a little bit more circly. Until when you're looking directly above an object, a rounded object. So for example, when you're looking directly above this, you can see the full circle, but as you tilt it, it becomes an ellipse. Okay, so to do that now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the pen grip a bit higher up, nice and loose, and I'm going to start off lightly. I'm going to swoop my pencil and try to hit off those 4 points. And you'll notice I didn't get it first go. That's why we do it lightly, so you can do it a few times. This takes practice, guys. So practice this. So that's my first ellipse. Now let's come down another, I don't know, let's come down 5 centimeters. It doesn't really matter how much, I'm just making this a little easier for you to follow. So if it was half a centimeter each side there, let's see what happens if we do a full centimeter. So using my central axis line as a guide where to put these points, I'm putting a point here and here. And there's my other points. So now I know I have to join those 4 points up, swoop the pencil. Again, this takes practice and you're not going to get it first go. That's why we do it lightly. Okay. And now you can see that the ellipse is after getting a little bit deeper, a little bit wider. That's because you're looking down on it a little bit more. So if we came down another 5 centimeters, now this time, let's come to 1.5 centimeters on either side of that line. So 1.5, 1.5. And there's my 4 points. So there's my 4 points now, and this is going to be quite a deep ellipse. And as you can see, it takes a little bit of woo, and you kind of swoop around. And the way I'm holding my pencil, I'm keeping my wrist locked and I'm moving my shoulder, okay, because my shoulder is a round joint, so it's easier to move that. If I was trying to do my wrist, I'd be kind of tripping myself up. So keep your wrist nice and locked and move your shoulder. Okay, so that would be the bottom of the object. So let's just say now this was a tube. What we do then is we rub out our guide marks. And you can see that's the bottom of the object there. Okay, oops. So that's a nice rounded object if it was to come that far below our eye level. And let's go above the eye level. So let's just come up 5 centimeters here. Do you know what? I don't have much room on the top, so I'm just going to come up 3 centimeters just to show you. So this time the line isn't as far up, as far away from the eye level as the bottom one is, so my ellipse isn't going to be as deep. So if we did 0.5 centimeter each side, we're going to have to go much smaller than that, so I'm going to go about 3 centimeters on either side. Now this is getting a little fiddly, but it's just a little bit, a little gap above and below that centre line. There's my 4 points. And whoops, and I join them up. So you can see this ellipse is not as deep as this ellipse because it's closer to my eye level. Now, so let's come up another. I'm going to come up from this line here, I'm going to come up 5 centimeters. So from this line here. Let's just go a tiny bit shorter than 1.5 centimeters. Just to make sure that this part here and this part here are the same. And there's your 4 points. And this time we go swoop it around. And as you can see, I'm not hitting off all 4 in the first time. This takes practice. Okay. And let's just say this was a tube. What we do then is we rub out our guide marks. So this time, because you're looking up at the object, it's the inside part that we rub out. So that we're looking up at the curve there at the top of the object. So the other one, it was the bottom one we left because we're looking down on the object, and the top one is the top one that we left because we're looking up at the object. So then you can kind of see that that looks like a 3D tube, okay? So and then like my eye level will be here, and then afterwards you can put your table in or whatever. Your table doesn't have to be at your eye level. Your table could be below your eye level. So practice that, and in the next video we'll use these techniques to draw a real object. We'll draw a wine bottle. Happy drawing!